Good morning, Anglican Diocese of Canada. I greet you from Befandrina, which is one of the villages in my diocese in Mahajanga. We've just gathered here this morning. It's just before maybe 6:30 a.m., just before 7 a.m. We're going to begin the day with Holy Communion as we will train lay leaders who are coming from all the villages around in the basic things of the Christian faith so that they can go back and be trainers in their parishes. And so just wanted you to get a sense of where I am. I'm just going to turn so you can see the setting where I am right now. And behind me is our Anglican Church of St. Peter. Bishop Dan's asked me to bring a simple a word to you about the work that I've been doing here. And the first question he's asked me is, in what ways do I see the Lord working in the diocese? It's really quite extraordinary to stand here this morning and see children gathering from villages heading to public schools. It's amazing to see how the Spirit is at work in growing the church. Yesterday I met in a municipality, Ansui, with the Archdeacon, where we planted a new church. He's only been there a couple of months and he's already got a radio station happening there. And it just seems like this is very fertile soil for the gospel. The gospel seems to be going forward so very wonderfully and in encouraging ways here. And so much to give thanks for. The challenge, I guess, for me, the greatest challenge for me, is that I'm here most of the year without Nenny Sarah and Chase. And so that's really difficult. And to be honest, I find it terribly lonely. Being a bishop is lonely, but being a bishop away from family where the only person with whom I can communicate is my translator. Whilst he's wonderful, it means that sometimes I can be feeling very alone. And I know I'm not, because God is with me, and I know that I'm being borne up by your prayers. So I covet your prayers for me in those moments of loneliness here. What fills me with joy? Worship. The worship here is an interesting mix of being very high church with lots and lots of incense and the ringing of bells and all of the formality that goes with sort of being Anglo-Catholic, that tradition. But it's so alive in the spirit and so joyously evangelical because there's singing and dancing and drums playing. And it's an interesting mix of being an Anglican and being Salvation Army, which is perhaps why it brings to me so very much joy. I would ask your prayers. I've been asking the same prayers of everyone for protection with all that's been happening in the nation of late. Thankfully, out here in the villages, there's no real unrest. Most of the things are centered in the capital. Students have been revolting for running water and electricity, which is not really too much to expect in this world. And so the end result is that there's been a military coup. The government has fallen. Since then, it seems peaceful. So please pray for the nation of Madagascar with all that has been happening. So for protection when we're traveling. Yesterday it was 4 hours to go 53 kilometers, and Tuj, the driver, is brilliant, and I'm so grateful for him to get me where I need to be and when I need to be there. Provision. The Macedonian call. There's a deep, deep need here for basic infrastructure. And honestly, that money will need to come from the West. And so I ask you to pray with your parishes about what you might be able to do to help the practical needs of for me living here and the expenses of maintaining a house and whatnot. But then, on this site where I am right now, there's a church, but the priest lives in a rented house in one room, one concrete room, with his wife and baby. And so obviously we need to build a small priest's house here for him. But the needs go on and on. So I would ask you to pray about what you might do to be able to meet some of those needs. Pray for protection, pray for provision, and then pray for wisdom for me, because if I had lots and lots of money, the needs are so profoundly great, it's sometimes hard to know how you can begin to help in a place which is one of the poorest parts of Madagascar, which is one of the poorest countries in the world. Sometimes it's heartbreaking, and I find myself crying myself to sleep at the end of the day because of what I've seen that day, because of the needs of the people, and I seem helpless to help them. And yet I pray, because I believe that God can, by the power of the Spirit, do what He alone can do to meet the needs of these people. So it's protection, provision, wisdom to know what to do with the funds that I have. If it is that you're able to make an offering to support, you can either go directly to Good Samaritan's website, where there's a place to donate, and just mark it Mahajanga, or I'm now officially a SAMS missionary. You can find me on the SAMS missionary site in the US. And then there's a site Into All the World, and I'm a Canadian missionary with that site as well. And so 3 ways that you can directly give. Canon Howard's been very helpful. No doubt if you're having trouble, speak to him, and he will help you be able to help me. Know, dear ones, that I am praying for you and for your gathering at Good Shepherd, at his Synod, that the Lord will meet you by the power of the Spirit and encourage you and equip you. And I'd ask you while you're there to pray for me, that the Lord will do the same for me in my Episcopal ministry here in Mahajanga. Bless you, dear ones.